Alright everyone, here we go. Another week in this podcast. I need to come up with some more material coming up because I've gone through all my back stock of material. But it's okay, because this week, of course, I talk more about WWE. And, of course, I begin this I talked with Michael early last year about his process, his rapping process. And, of course, in this episode, you'll hear me talk about part-time work. So, a lot of stuff to come. Of course, I'll have more stuff to talk about in the weeks to come, because there's always something to talk about. I can probably even get more serious with things here before too long. Hopefully I can get Michael back on the show. I really want to get my friend James Barber on here. He and I haven't talked for a few weeks, so I need to get him on this because he's hilarious. Jeff and Steven and all of them. And of course, that does sound like abstract names to, if you're a new listener, but they're really good friends of mine. And I will just say this has been a tough week for me because my mom's birthday was the other day. It was on the 21st, and this was her 10th birthday since she passed away. So she would have been 59. She passed away at 49. And so my mom, of course, was everything to me. And I don't want to get into all that. I don't want to make this a downer episode. So let's just get right into it. First with, of course, me talking about WWE. And this has been another week of WWE. Now it's time to talk about it. Here we are, April 18th, 2022 through, of course, April 22nd, 2022. So let's start off with the honorable mentions. Raw dominates the honorable mentions here, just a little bit of a spoiler alert. Starting off with Austin Theory defeating Finn Balor for the United States Championship. I was there live with my kids when Finn Balor won the U.S. title on this reign, and that was pretty awesome. And to see that title reign come to an end that my kids and I saw live was kind of bittersweet because I like Finn Balor, but also I really like Theory. So Theory, of course, becoming the new U.S. champion, getting the public visible endorsement from Vince McMahon. He's going to go some places, and I couldn't be happier for Theory. He's a great talent. He can be funny. He can also be someone that you hate. It's just, he's really talented. So, definitely going to see him go places. Next, we have, on honorable mentions, Cody and Kevin Owens. This, of course, the match ended in a countout. But that's also because of the story between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens said, "This is your fight, I'm leaving," after Seth Rollins basically tells him to get his fat ass in the ring. Some people, of course, have been like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you said that." But, they're heels. Shut up. But this was a really good match up to that point. Cody, of course, has the crowd behind him. And, yes. Is there a little bit of division starting? Of course, because fans just cannot agree on who they cheer or boo for. It's quite annoying, but I'm really into Cody, and I think he's definitely off to a great start in WWE, and just, Raw has been top-notch, especially since WrestleMania season started. Just, the best, it's become the A show again. And that's not to say SmackDown sucks, it's just to say that Raw has just been that good. Alright, last honorable mention, the lie detector segment with Ezekiel and Kevin Owens with Chad Gable. Of course, it preceded the match between Chad Gable and Ezekiel, which was pretty decent. But this was funny. Ezekiel passed the lie detector test, and we know this is really Elias, but at the same time, it's been so entertaining because Kevin Owens is losing his mind, and I don't know, it was just really fun to watch this segment. Kudos to WWE on this because this was just great. All right, now to the top 5. Number 5 here from SmackDown, the Lumberjack match with Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Just really entertaining stuff. I love Sami finally being able to find a way out of the Lumberjack match, with everyone distracted on the outside as Drew McIntyre did a dive on top of all of them. So Sammy escapes, but then Adam Pearce announces there's going to be a cage match next week on SmackDown. Good stuff. This was actually a pretty decent episode of SmackDown. Some people say it was a meh, but the thing is, just SmackDown, it's almost kind of in a recovery phase, because yes, it hasn't been the same since the draft, because they balanced things out, and with the exception of Roman Reigns, there hasn't been anything super compelling on the show. That's despite the fact that Drew McIntyre's on SmackDown, and he's really good. I like him too. Drew McIntyre is like a close second for me. Also, you love Sasha Banks. I think people like to complain too much, because SmackDown hasn't been terrible. It just hasn't been as good as Raw. Anyways, moving on from this funny segment here, where Drew McIntyre won this by countout, or match stoppage, whatever you want to call it. They just saw Sammy leaving and they kind of ended the match, so it wasn't really officially a winner declared. Number 4, Riddle versus Jey Uso, also on SmackDown. This, of course, was just really good. Really entertaining here, because Jey Uso's excellent in the ring, Riddle's excellent in the ring. You can tell that Riddle is going to get pushed to the moon. But you could tell how much McMahon must really like him, because Riddle is constantly featured in top-notch segments. Former U.S. champion already, multi-time tag team champion already. He's just a great guy, and I cannot wait to see where he goes. I love Riddle. He's one of my favorites. But, of course, Randy Orton's having the time of his life. You'll love to see it. And, of course, this is building up to what I believe is still going to be the Usos unifying the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. I'm looking forward to Backlash. I can't wait. All right, number 3 from NXT. Everything with Joe Gacy and Braun Breaker was just awesome. I don't know where the hell Harland is, but Gacy is officially the challenger for NXT, for the NXT Championship. And I don't think Braun's going to drop the title to Gacy, but this is at least a compelling story. So you had this whole kidnapping of Rick Steiner. Gacy gives the Hall of Fame ring back to Braun Breaker, and then pushes him off the stage. It was really good throughout the show. Basically a game of cat and mouse between Gacy and Braun. You see Gacy like stalking Braun. It was really fun to watch. NXT was solid, but this was the only thing to make it into the top 5 for the week. You'll hear more about my thoughts of NXT when I talk more thoroughly about it sometime in the next week. All right, number 2, Edge and Damien Priest, with a little vignette, sort of vignette promo in the back here. They're sort of, you can see they're building this stable, and obviously this is right now centered around AJ Styles versus Edge, because of course in this little segment you hear basically confirmed that Edge and AJ Styles will go at it one more time at Backlash. It's going to be fun to watch. The match at WrestleMania was really good. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the sequel of their match. Either way, I'm loving Edge as a heel. It's just spectacular. So I think Edge is the best heel in WWE right now. Second best. I can't say he's better than Roman, but he's the best at what he's doing right now. So I don't know. He's second best heel. He's definitely in my top 5 in WWE right now. Edge is just doing great, and I like that Damian Priest has been attached to him here. That's good stuff too. And finally, number 1 for the week, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, their segment. Of course, this is also on Raw. Like I said, Raw basically dominated this top 5 and this whole thing with the honorable mentions in these top 2 here. But this building up here between Cody and Seth, a promo segment. Seth and Cody, solidifying their match at Backlash. Seth, saying, that Cody had the advantage that, going into WrestleMania, because Seth had no idea that Cody was going to be his opponent. He then, of course, tells Cody that he's going to, do to him what happened to Seth at WrestleMania by having him fight a mystery opponent later on Raw. Cody doesn't back down from a challenge, accepts, and that's what leads to the Kevin Owens and Cody match in the main event. Either way, this was a really fun segment. I think the best part of the week. Cody's probably consistently going to be in the top 5 going forward as long as he keeps doing what he's able to do best. And there you have it, the top 5 for WWE, the week in WWE highlights, whatever you want to call this segment. There you go. Hey, while you have some time, make sure you go to my website, danielcrawford.org. You can check out all these links that are on there. You can see what my friends are up to, which of course actually is a link that I need to establish officially on the website, but I do have some links on there to at least what my friend Gary is doing on his websites. And of course, you can find a Blues Highway podcast through this, through that link. You can find, of course, what my siblings are up to and all my various projects. Check it out, danielcrawford.org. Yeah, hope you have fun doing that, because there's a lot of things on there that I'm passionate about. So, there you go. Of appropriate indecency.
I think my writing ability has gotten so much better. Like rhyming and like saying like rhymes while trying to stay on a subject, I have gotten really good at staying on a subject.
You're mastering it. The more practice you get, the better you get at it.
Yeah, because like that one, like a lot of those, I had a thought in mind, like the whole execution and inhumane. I was thinking about like pretty much what I mean with that rhyme is like going against the norm, where like society makes us think of certain people as lesser or whatever, like or the way you look.
Right.
So when like the media and everybody is like looking down on certain things or making you think certain things about certain shit, to me it's like we gotta break that. We all gotta realize we're all on the same level playing field.
Right,
it's just some people have had better opportunities, and this, that, and the third. And so like that's what I came with. That's what brought me there, because I like everything from poor people to different races and gender shit, like inequality with everything. I had all that thought, like we all just need to learn that we're all human. None of us are better than the other, based on where we grew up, how we live, what we believe. As long as we're not hurting each other or anything else, like just to be like, oh, I'm gonna fucking go over and punch this kid in the eye, and I'm a 35-year-old man. Wow! As long as we're not hurting people, I think we all should be treated.
Why did you bring up 35 years old? I mean, I know I'm 35. Why
There was literally a random number that popped in my head. I could have said like 205. I don't know how he's alive, but he is, and he punched that kid. Somebody get him. But like, to me, it's like as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Sounds like a Granddaddy Dukes age.
Yeah.
205.
Yeah, 205. But no, I think everybody should be equal, and that's what was in my mind. And like going against like saying you're not better than me just because you were born in here and you have better opportunities to get more money, or your race, or what you believe and shit. You're not better than me. We're the same. I'm not hurting you, forcing you to think what I think, and as long as you're not doing that to me, we're equal. Because once you start trying to push your shit onto people and force them to believe what you believe, to me, you become lesser. Because in my opinion, you're dragging somebody. You're dragging them. So you're dragging them down. So to me, you're lesser if you think you're better just because of a certain belief or age or where you were or whatnot. To me, that makes you lesser.
Right. I mean, if you have to force people to believe what you do because their arguments aren't, like, they don't have any merit.
And as long as it's not like there are things like, alright, for instance, the only time I'll look down on anybody is if like they're racist, like legit racist or something to that matter. Like that's the only time that I'll actually like, oh man, fuck that. They're hating somebody because of a different race, or the gender shit, like how some guys just hate women.
Right.
For like no reason.
Sadly,
or when a female just hates guys. To me, I hate that too. I fucking hate that too. Like, just because there's one guy that's a piece of shit to you doesn't mean all fucking men are like that. I'm a fucking guy. Don't get me wrong, I'm a sailor mouth, and I fucking talk a lot of shit. But deep down, we all know I would give the shirt off my back for anybody, no matter what gender, race, color. Well, race and color than that. But religion, I don't care. If I can help somebody.
You can say race and color. Someone could be of a race and be like.
Alright, all pigments.
Right.
All pigments.
All pigments and backgrounds, religion.
Yeah, I don't care where you're from. As long as you're not hurting me, if I see you in need, I'm going to fucking help you if I can.
Right.
That's what made me think about this, because, like, if you break that and, like, you tell society, like, oh, don't think of me don't think of me as a lesser person because of something about me is not the norm or seen as beautiful or cool or what. I don't like that look down, so that's the reason why I made that line. let it loose, then face persecution, possible execution for breaking this illusion, I find inhumane. Because I don't find it. That's talking about what I was talking about.
Right.
That's what I thought of exactly. Society tells lies that we pass idly by. Why do we not see eye to eye? We're the same in the pain. Because that judgment has caused people to hurt others, or just the people that are being judged like that has hurt themselves, or feel hurt because they're not seen as equals of any sort. So it's like society tells lies. It's telling you those lies. And I was talking about
telling you how
something better that we pass by idly. Obviously, I just switched idly by around, so it would rhyme better.
Right.
Why do we not see eye to eye? Obviously, why don't we see the same thing?
Right.
We're the same in the pain. So it's pretty much like, I don't know. That's what I thought of when I was sitting there. That's the message I was trying to send with that, and I hope when I put that into a song, people get what I mean.
Right.
And I'm gonna do my best to fucking find a beat or something that these can go with. Because me and Scott, the song that we're making is gonna be funny. This is gonna be funny. So all my serious ones in here,
take out and make a different song altogether.
Yeah. Because he said we would vote on our favorites of the other one, and we'd put, like, honestly, my Parkinson's disease one. Your hands are looking shaky. You're driving me crazy. Better park it, son. My Parkinson's disease line. That's what it is. Think about it. Your hands are looking shaky.
Yeah, I know.
You're driving me
Parkinson's
crazy.
disease
Better park it, son.
I just like how nonchalant you were about saying like, yeah, I mean, my Parkinson's.
Well, obviously, I feel bad for people that have it, but it's a clever rhyme. Your hands are looking shady. You're driving me crazy. Better park it, son. It's technically two double entendres in one, because you're driving me crazy.
Right.
Better park it, son.
Yeah.
Parkinson's, park it, son. Parkinson's disease.
Park that thing that you're driving. Yeah.
Yeah. Bah. So 2 in 1. Sack.
Just slaying those rhymes.
Looking hella shady, flow surely amazing. Don't mock it, son. I wasn't actually thinking like the moccasin, but Scott made that in there with that. I was just thinking about the Parkinson one. I was like, yeah, that's fucking dope. Right. I was like, man, let's do that. Just make it. And I wrote it down, and I put that line in there, and then that's how this was made. That's actually how all of this was made. I told Scott about that line. He's like, we should do that. Make a whole song. We're going to make a list of words that have a sound to it that relates to that word in some way. But it kind of went haywire because some things don't make sense.
Of course.
But a lot of them do. Parkinson's disease, son being the ending rhyme. Like I could say something that would make the word sound of Parkinson's in there if I worked it in there. Which Scott didn't do. I think he actually just straight out said Parkinson's. I have to look at his rhymes. Again, I haven't looked at it. And then moccasin, obviously, having son. Because it's all doubled. Paranormal and female, we said boo for.
Yeah.
It's paranormal shit. It's scary. You go, boo! Oh! Laundry and poker, both of them are fold because you fold laundry. And if you have a bad hand, you fold your hand.
Right.
So that's what we made there. Soda and daisies, obviously I already mentioned this. You call soda or you call it pop, so pop. And also daisies, mom and daddy had a baby, hey, pop. Hyena and Rice Krispies. Cackle. I wanted to put crackle for Rice Krispies because obviously snap, crackle, and pop. You don't say snap, cackle, and pop.
Right.
But
it's just a play on the words in that case.
yeah, but like I said earlier, and that's kind of where it said like you don't have to say the rhyme word exactly,
right.
Just something that rhymes with the rhyme word.
Mm-hmm.
Stellar and crest. A crest is also a word for like a medallion and shit.
Yeah.
So shine for that. Stellar, stars shine. Then
God
obviously
damn it.
Interstellar.
Yeah.
Bodies. So memory and Girls Gone Wild. Both of the rhyme word is flashes. Suicide and penis. For those two. The rhyming word is hanging. Puppet and proctologist. The rhyming word is sodomy. Ranch and pudding, creamy. Bench and newspaper, press, sex. And shotgun, pump. War and horseman, not war, but Peace and Horseman, war. Impala and MVP. I wasn't too big of a fan of this one, but Bala.
Oh, MVP as in the wrestler MVP.
No, MVP as in most valuable player.
Yeah, I know, but that's... Remember, he
that's
calls
his
himself
name.
Bala as well.
Well, yeah, you could say it like that. Okay, I guess it's about the wrestler.
It could be.
In my rhyme, I actually mentioned being rap MVP,
Yeah.
lyrical hooping, hose holler for a dollar, but I ain't got nothing for a squalor.
Yeah.
Yeah, dry skin and deception. Flaky. Is somebody being flaky? They're a person that's known to deceive. Mortal Kombat and gyms. Flawless. Baking and transportation. Gas. Execution and society. Humane. But you can say inhumane or whatever.
Yeah.
Picture and hospital. The word is memory. So we took all of that and just
Meshed it
wrote,
together.
Well, we wrote rhymes to everything, trying to do what the rhyme word said. And we're gonna pick out little things. We were gonna do this, and we were gonna put all the rhymes inside like a hat or something and pick it out.
Right.
So call the song "Picked from a Hat" or something,
Yeah.
and it'd literally be about how the song was made.
All ideas coming out of the hat.
Oh, yeah, dang!
Something I've always wanted to rant about, or, address in one way or another, is the issue of part-time work. Part-time work and temporary work. I'll talk about temporary work another day, but it's connected to this in its own right. And we'll go more into this subject at another time. But I really think that part-time workers, like the worker themselves, should have a lot more power than what they have. Should have a lot more rights than what they have, because workers need security. Everyone needs security. Some people work part-time because they just want a little bit of extra money on the side. Some people. Most people, though, work it because they can't find anything else. Or because, they're a teenager. But most people who work part-time jobs are adults. And I always say this every time. And this, of course, is another whole issue in and of itself. And I'll get more into this at another time. But a lot of people criticize the idea that fast food workers and retail workers and the like, that they should get paid a living wage because, it's a teenager's job. But let's be honest here. Teenagers are not the only people doing this work. They're not. You know this. And quite honestly, if you were to have a workplace based only on teenagers who work, if all their lower level employees were only teenagers, what would happen? I'll tell you what would happen. You would depend on them to be available only during the hours that school was out of session. So let's put it this way. You would only be open during those hours that school was out of session. You'd have more open hours during the summer, spring, Christmas vacation, all that. But then, when it comes right down to it, during the school year, which is 9 months out of the year, you would have, business hours only being from, say, at the earliest 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. That would be your business hours for fast food, for retail, all the like. So that's another issue in and of itself. But that's just me making a point that this kind of work, whether it's retail work or, fast food, whatever, part-time work in general isn't just about teenagers. So I have to preface everything with that to go on to the next part of this discussion. And the next part of this discussion is that when you're working part-time, and I established these viewpoints, I thought about this stuff when I was a part-timer. Now I work full-time, but, I think, it should be up to the part-time worker, for all of this, by the way, because sometimes they don't want more work. But I believe strongly that the security that we need, that after you work, say, 6 months in a part-time job, you should have a set minimum, a minimum that you can't go below, a minimum of at least, I'd say, 20 hours. Within the first 3 months, you should have the 15-hour minimum. I don't think you should ever even get to 15 hours. I think it should be much higher than that. But that's what I think it should be. That you can't give a part-time worker any less than this unless they say okay. So, and I don't think that, we have to be clear about this. I don't think that employers should be allowed to encourage people to, work them less. Because I can already see like the open, the open gates, the floodgates, if you will, to employers pressuring prospective employees into agreeing to less hours as a prerequisite for getting hired. So, I can see that possibly happen. So we need to do more to regulate employers and make sure that they don't, bully workers that way. Anyways, back to the issue. The issue here is that workers don't have full security of employment. Workers don't enjoy the comfort of knowing what they're going to work, hour-wise, what they're going to have, what pay they're going to have from one week to the next. And I've experienced this. When I was a part-time worker in the very beginning, I would go from having, say, 30 hours one week, 40 hours another, to suddenly 15 or 20 hours another week. And then that sucked. How can you pay your bills that way? People will be like, well, you go get a better job. But it's not so easy. It's not that easy to just go up and get another job, especially if you experience a terrible work history from mistakes made or a bunch of stuff happening, whole host of issues that can contribute to you having a terrible work history and being non-hireable in the eyes of many employers. And there needs to be better regulation for the business practices that contribute to an employer's decision to hire you or not hire you, or even to fire you. Yes, I believe in more worker protections in general. Absolute increase in worker protections. So, when it comes to this, like I said, we really should guarantee a minimum of hours. Like I said, after, 90 days, minimum of 15. Absolute minimum of 15. Unless the employee gives you okay otherwise. After 6 months, minimum of 20. After, say, a year, minimum of maybe 25 or 30. 25, we'll just stick with that. After a year and a half, definitely go no lower than 30. And then, 2 years, 35-hour minimum. And then maybe 3 years full-time. Yeah, and within 3 years, you should become a full-time worker if that's what you want. And it should be required by law that employers offer that they provide that possibility. And that the long-standing employee get first dibs on that. So, there you have it. There's this take right here. I just felt like ranting about it.